What's up, guys? Dr. Adrian Gentry, aka Dr. Real Estate Jackson. We're back with another one, right? So I want to help you guys out before you ever move to Jacksonville and let you know, Jacksonville is not for everyone. So what we've done is we put together 10 things we've observed while living here in Jacksonville, but I believe that you would want to consider. Now, it's our job to give you the information. It's your job to determine if this is the place for you. And I want you guys to stay to number one. So we're going to give you all 10 in this video right now. Let's go. Starting with number 10. Okay, so I grew up in Virginia. I've lived in Georgia, actually went to boot camp at Fort Stewart. And you know anything about South Georgia? Pollen comes from everywhere. I've probably been in 30 to 40 different states, but I've never seen pollen like this. In 2022, we were voted 22nd highest pollen county in the United States. In 2023, this year that we're in, highest pollen in tree pollen, grass pollen, and weed pollen. And because we live in Jacksonville, Florida, the winters are mild, so there's a lot of plants that are actually growing during that season. So you have longer allergy seasons than you'll typically have in majority of the states. We have the worst pollen, and it can last up to about 10 months. The worst month for pollen, April, May, June. I don't suffer from allergies like my best friend does, and all of a sudden his eyes get puffy. He's sneezing all the time. He's doing that weird, the weird sound that people do when their allergies are affecting them. Me, I kind of personally love pollen. Flying in the air as a hobby, I am a beekeeper, so that means, guess what? My bees are going to produce that season. But one of the things that people hate about being down here during that time, I mean, everything is absolutely covered in that yellow, greenish color. I mean, you walk outside, it's hitting you right in the face, and you can literally see the pollen flying in the air. So if you're suffering from allergies, if you're suffering from them, you may want to invest in something like Zyrtex, because pollen and allergies is definitely something that you're going to have to deal with in Jacksonville. Number 9. Storms, rains, and hurricanes. All right, so we're at the tail end of the summer. So in Jacksonville, we have summer rain, right? It's more like summer storms when you're sitting outside and next thing you know, it's lightning and thundering out of nowhere. It's blue skies, and the next thing you know, you're going to see the sky literally fall out. This is literally a storm out of nowhere. Crazy part, 5 minutes ago it was sunny. And that storm came out of absolutely nowhere. So this is kind of how it works. Late May to June, you're going to have some severe weather storms, and then more than likely you're going to see these little pellets of hail and then heavy winds. Frequently during this time, you're going to see lightning storms. It's just what goes on here. Now, July through September, that's when it kind of builds up a little bit. We're at the absolute peak. That's when you're going to have to cut your grass at least 3 times or pay someone to cut your grass at least 3 times, and all of a sudden home ownership goes up just a little bit more. Being honest, I pay someone, they're coming out 3 times a month. He's getting rich. He's getting rich off of me. I have a lot of trees. Then gets a bit crazier, right? And it's going to start to rain nearly every day. Let me help you out real quick. Nearly every day. I think this is the time that God is saying, I know you guys are burning up. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a little bit of rain. And it's always for about 15 to 30 minutes. It's not going to last long at all. It's going to come, and as fast as it comes, it leaves. 5 minutes later. Literally, that video, we were standing inside a house. I was showing model homes, and all of a sudden it just started pouring out of nowhere. Before we walked out, it was sunny again. So August and September is hot. I'm gonna be honest, it's hot as hell, right? That's the hottest hell season, which brings upon hurricane season.
Oh my God, okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm. Wait. Everybody calm down.
But surprisingly enough, I think it's more chaos going on inside of the stores and more mental damage than the hurricane itself. If you've ever watched any of my videos, you'll know I'll say one thing, like hurricanes and flooding happens. Flooding happens in Jacksonville where it's supposed to happen. So if you're near the water, that's where you're going to get majority of the flood. Now, the rest of the city, we don't get damaged as much. But I think if you're living in Jacksonville, Florida, and you're tired of all the torrential rain that's happening daily, I think that's one of the things that pushes people out of the city. It's just like, I don't know if you've been in Seattle. Well, Seattle's like dreary all the time. We don't get that. We get severe storms, heat, and then it's calm, right? And when that calm hits, it's humid as heck. So you're going to be sticky walking around if you're in a jacket, if you're in a suit, if you're in that, the three-piece women, when y'all in your power suit, oh, you're gonna be sticky. You're going to be sticky. Number 8, traffic and construction. Now, one of the things that most people can't argue with me about is Jacksonville is the largest city in the country. And since COVID, we've had a surge of population growth. At one point, I think it was like 86 people moving here every day. So there's an incredible amount of growth, and road construction now has to take place so we can expand these highways. Now, roadways, highways, no matter where you're driving, you're gonna find some form of construction in Jacksonville. And the one thing I hate about this thing, DOT, I don't understand how they are planning these roads, because they tend to shut them down at times that make absolute no sense, and then they reroute you in a direction, and at some point the signs stop and you're out there by your. So it's incredibly frustrating when you're dealing with the growth of the city. But this isn't terrible, considering that Jacksonville is as large as it is. And even though we were ranked 45th in the country for worst traffic, I don't see it, right? I've driven in LA, I've driven in New York, I've driven in Houston, I've driven in Atlanta, and I promise you, I would never compare Jacksonville to this place. But the construction is what's starting to frustrate people a lot, now having to deal with traffic they didn't have to deal with before. So I want to kind of give you an understanding of what's going on the map, so you can kind of know where those spots are that's going to frustrate you when you get here. Right, so let's start off here, right? 10 East is going to be heck to get through early in the morning. So in the morning, you're coming down 10, it's combined right here with 95, and everything begins to kind of bottleneck. So there's a lot of traffic flowing across here. 95, people are trying to get into downtown area. Now, if we go over on the South Bank, look, we have 3 different bridges all flowing into downtown, large commerce place. So of course, you're going to have a lot of traffic going in and out. Now, let me take you over to the South side. Now, over by the town center, this is a frustrating area. Like, just look at it. Like, come on now. Anytime that many roads are connecting in one spot, just expect to have a headache early in the morning. And then let's cross back over here to the Bowden area, Phillips Highway. You're going to have a problem on JTB early in the morning. And the funny thing about it is these are the same areas that you're going to have a problem with in the afternoon. I always like to talk about the Buckman Bridge, because a lot of people have to travel this way to get to the south side. Now, the Buckman Bridge is generally fine to cross, right? But if you have a crash on that bridge, I'm gonna tell you right now, it can take a minute to get across. And I've literally seen people wait on the bridge. It was a horrible crash for an hour and a half. What I do, I leave the house, I stay over here on this side. So guess what? I leave the house at 6 o'clock in the morning if I'm going into the office, 7 o'clock in the morning when I'm going to the office. So I tend to never run into traffic at all, but you're going to want to watch that. If you have to cross the Buckman Bridge, understand you may want to leave just a little bit earlier. Don't try to fall into rush hour. And that's one of the things I've kind of learned about living in Jacksonville. If I have a meeting on the other side of town, if I'm showing properties on the other side of town at 4 o'clock, that's my cutoff, right? I don't like getting stuck in traffic. Very rarely have I got stuck in traffic, but if you look at the growth that's been happening in this town, the expansion that's been happening in this town, one thing you will know, it's getting frustrating to the people that are living here because it's happening so fast. So that's another reason people are like, look, I don't know if I can be here anymore. I'm watching growth happen way too fast, and it's frustrating the heck out of people. Number 7, bugs and mosquitoes. All right, so it's humid here, right? And we have the moderate temperature, so it's a perfect match for roaches. 4 different variants. Spiders, 55 different variants. And when we're talking about our favorite one, mosquitoes, 47 different types of mosquitoes. Now, fun fact, 25th ranked Jacksonville. Worst mosquitoes. I can agree. Why? Because we have so much water. Like, we're living in flakes in every neighborhood. We're dealing with lakes. We're dealing with ponds. We're dealing with people hoarding water in their backyard. We live in the St. Johns River. And so guess what? We are a breeding ground for these jokers. And with it being hot all year round, guess what? They're going to be present all year round. So just imagine, summertime, you're with the family at the barbecue, and next thing you know, you're going to be attacked. Not by one, multiples, and they look like they drink like a hippo. Like, I don't know what they drank before you smack them and you splatter the blood. Next thing you know, you think you have the West Nile virus. But it's gotten bad. So the city actually set up a number, put it in here, so you can have people come out and inspect and spray these killers that will ultimately be in your backyard. That's the least of your worries. What's really going to make you mad are the wasps. So some of your favorite friends are going to be wasps. Look, they're going to form their home right side of your home. They're not paying mortgage, but you will have multiple wasp nests outside of your house. I grab quick thing of home defense, and yeah, knock them out. They literally drop like flies. You come out every now and then, you hit them. They sting and they hurt. And I'm a beekeeper, right? And even as a beekeeper, I don't like to deal with these jokers. Let me help you out real quick. They sting much harder than a bee does. And they're just angry. They're so angry. And last but not least, the palmetto bug, the roach, the beetle, I don't know what you want to call it, but I do know they're about this big, and they're going to freak you out when they run across your wall, when they run across the floor, when they fly. Yes, they do fly. And then you're going to, you're going to try to kill it, and once you kill it, it's going to be laying there on the floor, and you're going to go get something to pick it up, and as soon as you reach down, guess what you're going to figure out?
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Ugh. They're here, guys. They're here, and they're going to make you cringe and freak the heck out. I know I do. I wouldn't say I scream like a girl when they creep up on me, but I let out a sound. And they kind of freak you out. So as of right now, like in the comments, I want you guys to put out of all the ones that we've talked about, which one is the worst to you? Number 6, contractors. Okay, so if you're moving to Jacksonville, that means you probably don't have a lot of personal connections. You're looking to purchase a house. You might want to get some renovations done to that property, and you want to close in the lanai. And you don't know. You haven't vetted these contractors out yet. So one of the things we always do, we put our number in here because we are the #1 relocation team in Jacksonville, and so we've built some relationships with a lot of these guys to get the things that you want done. With the amount of people putting in business licenses, especially since COVID, where everybody wanted to start a business, doesn't necessarily mean that they wanted to do business correctly. So we've had a lot of people taking money. We've had a lot of people not getting their jobs finished here in Jacksonville, and I think it's kind of a, I don't know, would I say epidemic? I don't know, maybe that's too far, but it's really become a problem in Jacksonville with dealing with contractors and not knowing which ones to choose, because it's right now you can type in on Google and you can look up someone that's looking to do something for you, and they're just not skilled at what they're saying, but they're trying to collect money for it. So we've watched a lot of renovations. We manage probably 100 properties. We renovate some of the properties for our investors, and we have the workforce like that you may need. So give us a call if that's one of the things that you're looking for when you're moving here, working with us. If you're looking to remodel your property that we sold you, we always have a list vetted contractors that you guys can use, so you're not picking up the phone and they're not calling you back, or they're just not showing up at all. Number 5, intense heat. Okay, I grew up where it snowed in the winter. I don't know anything about this weather, right? I don't step outside now. In fact, I breathe and I sweat. That's the type of life I live as of right now. But in Jacksonville, we only have 2 seasons, right? You have summer and you have January. Those are the only 2 that you're going to get. With very mild winters, you're pretty much going to deal with heat all times of year. This heat is oppressive. Like, it kicks like Jackie Chan back in the 90s. It's one of those things that begin to dread. And as soon as you walk out the door, there it is. It's there to meet you, saying hello. Cheers. And you're sweating profusely. And I don't care what you try to do to block it. You can put on tiny shorts, or you can try to put on an umbrella. It's one of those types of heats that you've never dealt with before, with the humidity, and it's going to make you moist. I hope I triggered someone with that one. But every time you step out the door, of course, you're going to be met with heat. And I hope this trend doesn't continue on. But this year, the heat index, you're going to have to watch it. It's been abnormally hot. I mean, it's like a 109-degree sauna, so much that we've been getting text messages from the city to give us an advisory warning. So businesses are going to keep it freezing. So women, when you're walking into a restaurant or you're walking into a commercial space, be sure, right, to have your jacket at all times. Men, you know what I'm saying? Put the deodorant on. Women, when you step out of the house, just understand your makeup is going to melt, so you might need a better quality. But I think that's one of the reasons that people like, look, I didn't know it was this hot. Like, I really didn't understand that I was going to be hot all year round. That's Jacksonville. Even in the winter, you're going to have to deal with temperatures of 30 degrees in the morning, 40 degrees in the morning, 50 degrees in the morning. Like 30 is the worst case. But by the afternoon, you're going to be sweating and peeling off each layer of clothing that you put on. Number 4, reptiles. Welcome to Florida, folks. Lizards, alligators, snakes. We have them all. So what we're going to do is going to start with lizards, right? If you think they're just something that goes outside, no. They're coming in your house, and you're going to be sadly mistaken. I found them in toilet bowls. I found them in window ledges. I found them in my sink when I went to brush my teeth one time. And they never really get old. So you're either one or two people. You're the type of person that, okay, I'm okay with lizards. They're part of life. Or you're one of those people that take off running every time you see them. So lizards are one of the things that you're going to have to deal with, but that's not even the problem, right? You're going to have to deal with this thing called the alligators. Hold on, hear me out, right? Jacksonville has plenty of alligators, but the one thing I can say is they stay away from crowds. I want to say that, but internally, I feel like that's a lie because they want to eat me. And that's the thought process I've always had about alligators. I can't fight you in your area. So there's times that you're going to even find them in your swimming pool. It's not as bad as South Florida, but I think that's one of the reasons people get scared of alligators, right? I have not seen many of them. I stay as far away as I possibly can. In neighborhoods, once they get 4 feet, people come out and they grab them and take them out. That's part of most HOAs. But alligators is definitely something you're dealing with when you're living here. So a lot of people don't like it anymore, right? Like it's not as worse, like I said before, it's not as worse as you'll find down south, but we have the presence of alligators pretty much everywhere that you go. So assume this, there's water, there's an alligator. And snakes. Okay, Jacksonville is native to 46 different species of snakes, and 6 of them are actually venomous. Now you're going to find a water moccasin, you're going to find an eastern diamondback, and you're going to find a pygmy, which are amongst the venomous ones. And when you find water, you're going to find snakes. But I can honestly say, over my 12 years of actually living here, I've probably seen a handful of them. And one of the most common ones that I see is the black racer. They move fast, right? That's hence racer. They're going to move fast. And I found them in my garage. I found them in my backyard. But once you kind of realize that they're a great form of pest control, they eat the field mice, they eat the frogs, you kind of learn to live with them. Number 3, school grade. So Jacksonville has 204 schools, including public, private, and charter schools. So right now, currently, we have a B- as a rating. But if we're looking at all of the school districts in the Northeast Florida area, we're falling number 4. First being St. Johns County, second being Clay County, third being Nassau County. And one of the things people tend to run into is finding a zone that has all 3 schools that are ranked high. So generally what we'll find is a school where you have an elementary that's an 8, and then you have a, high school, which I think they all lose their mind at that point anyway, that falls as a 4 or a 5. So this has been one of the complaints that I've had to deal with a lot of customers that live here in Jacksonville or moved here in Jacksonville, that they can't find the perfect school district, right? But the thing I always like to tell people is we do have school of choice. And the reason I say that is because you can get your child in a school that you want them to be in, or something that they enjoy doing, like violin or dance, or whatever you want them to do, speak Spanish, go to be a nurse. Like we have those type of schools here in Jacksonville. So a lot of people need to utilize that more when moving to Jacksonville. And I understand it's a problem for people who are living here, and it's frustrating because you have to get your child to school when you're dealing with school choice. But that's one of the reasons that a lot of people are frustrated, is because inside of this district, as it being so large, finding that perfect zone for your child can be quite difficult. Number 2, insurance. So if you're not living under a rock, I'm pretty sure you've heard about the crisis that's been going on in Florida when it comes to insurance. And I'm not just talking about home insurance, I'm talking about auto insurance as well. And it's been going on for probably the last 5 years, ever since 2017, when Hurricane Irma hit. And following that one, you had Hurricane Michael in 2018, and it caused almost $30 billion worth of damage. And since then, a lot of companies have opted out. In 2021, 2022, we had at least 12 companies leaving the area. So what's causing all of the frustration that's going on is the vulnerability to hurricanes and, of course, legal issues. Remember, insurance is based off of risk. If you want to hear more about that, I'm going to link in a video I did about the insurance where I go in depth in it. But these have caused a lot of rates to go up. And what people don't understand, at one point it was one company that was doubling insurance and it was going crazy, but all of our insurance has gone up, right? I just changed over my auto policy. They was trying to charge me something outrageous, like $3,600 a year for 2 vehicles. I went out and I got a new quote for another insurance company, and it was funny because I literally went down and saved $800. Thank you, Geico. But you're going to have to look for insurance. Now, rule of thumb, newer home, lower insurance. Older home, higher insurance. Near the water, higher insurance. insurance. Away from the water, low in insurance. And I'm looking at a lot of new constructions that's coming out right now. We're getting ridiculously low rates because they're not on the water. So it's one of those things where a lot of people that have already owned their properties for years, they've seen a tremendous spike in their insurance. So if my insurance goes up, let's say $2,000, of course, this may not be the place for me. And that's been pushing a lot of people out of Jacksonville. And number one, Jax is the ish. That's what I had to say it like that. So people always ask me, why am I still here, right? All of these things that we've talked about, there's this community, right? Like the energy that you'll find in Jacksonville, the fact that we're on a place like where we're about to just explode. Right now, they're calling us a boom town. I love being in Jacksonville, and I've lived a lot of places. I've traveled to a lot of places, but I've never felt this type of energy before. The fact that I can do something 12 months a year outside, beautiful thing. But if you've ever been in Jacksonville and truly experienced it for what it is, like seeing where we are right now and where we're headed to, I see this as home. Like I can't think of moving somewhere else as of right now. Like put some things in the comments, guys. If some of the things that you actually love about Jacksonville, because I know we talked about a lot of things that people are moving away for, but I want people to really blow up the comments and say the things that they love in Jacksonville. And if you're moving to Jacksonville, we're going to put our number somewhere here. I never know where it goes in post-production, but we would love to serve you. So that's all I got for you guys. Until next time, be great and choose excellence.